Hello and welcome to P Guru's channel. We are today with Professor R. Vaidyanathan, and we will start by analyzing the Karnataka election results. What happened, who went wrong, and how he sees the future play out. Professor R. Vaidyanathan, or more informally, Professor R.V., welcome to P Guru's channel.
Thank you very much, Shri Iyer. It's always a great pleasure to be part of the P Guru's channel. And I was told that the number of entries for the last video on the Karnataka poll was something like 60,000, I was told. So that means there is a good amount of interest in P Guru channel nowadays.
Yes. Sir, you are a big hit. You are a big hit with the followers of P Gurus and viewers. I would request you to click on the subscribe button. This is the first time I'm making this request because I see that we are growing, but I would like to grow at a faster pace so that the more subscribers come on, the more easily you will get to know the videos that come online. So you don't have to go looking for a new video at P Gurus. You will get notified. Thank you very much on that point. Sir, I'm sorry, let's get back to the original topic.
Yeah, we will. You see, when we discussed last time, we of course, I think you will recall, we did not mention any particular type of number of votes or anything. We discussed the various regions of Karnataka, northern Karnataka, the Bombay, Bombay Karnataka, as well as the Hyderabad Karnataka, and the coastal Karnataka, and the belt between Mysore and Bangalore. By and large, the voting has been in a similar fashion, with the coastal Karnataka giving significant amount of voting to the BJP, while as the Bangalore-Mysore belt has supported the JDS. We will come to that. Very interesting. In all these places, JDS was fighting tooth and nail the Congress, not other parties. Actually, very, very few places there was a direct fight between JDS and BJP. It was always JDS and Congress, or BJP and Congress. But I think three important takeaways from this election, which is not adequately focused, is the following. In the last 1 year or so, the earlier Chief Minister Siddaramaiah and Congress were harping on what you may loosely call the Kannada pride and regionalism. He wanted to have a separate flag for Karnataka, actually, which he also unveiled. Unfortunately or fortunately, I don't think the central government is going to approve of it or something. Because today there is only one state, Jammu and Kashmir, which has its own flag. And even that is being questioned, and in the sense of integrating Jammu and Kashmir with India. Because there is a misconception that India is like United States. You know, there many of the states have their own flags along with the national flag.
Correct.
Which is not true, actually. India is not like US. US is a federation of states. India is not a federation of states. India as a entity was there long time before the Mughals came and the British came and other things. Only what was done is it was more integrated by Sardar Patel post British leaving the country. So India is not what they call amalgam of states or anything. So anyhow, this Siddaramaiah wanted to stress on the regional, I would say chauvinism, actually, because he encouraged many of the people to go and erase the Hindi name boards in the metro stations. It's a Devanagari Lipi, actually. So it could be, and it's much easier for people like, say, Gujarat or Orissa or West Bengal, or not necessarily UP and Bihar, for them to read it. There is nothing. And it was in addition to English, Kannada and other languages, Urdu also. but Hindi was rubbed off, and that was taken as a big issue. And third is he instigated the whole issue of this Linkayat as a separate religion, particularly the non-Veerashaiva Linkayat, which is a very, if you ask me bluntly, it's an absurd type of proposition, because they are ardent Shiva worshippers, and I have seen large number of them with vibhuti in the forehead in the rural areas of Karnataka, as well as they wear the, including their women, they wear lingam in their as part of their sacred thread. If they are not Hindus, I can't understand who else can be classified as Hindus. Anyhow, they were suddenly, it was a ploy to separate the Linkayat, and all the three got decisively defeated. The person who was in the forefront of the Linkayat agitation, he himself lost actually in the belt of the Linkayat areas. So this is something very, very important to note. The divisive mechanism and stoking the regional fire is not going to help political parties, particularly parties like Congress. And the people of Karnataka, as I would definitely say, decisively rejected this whole idea of anti-Hindi, having a local flag, as well as what you may loosely call the separate religion. I don't know whether a state government or central government or a political party can create a separate religion. That itself is a very intriguing idea. Can you create, among the existing, you can create your own religion. You can start a cult or a faith and other thing and declare yourself to be a separate religion. But from the existing one, whether you can cut it off and take a religion is something I think maybe it requires a constitutional look into that issue separately. But so I would say it's a huge victory for the forces of nationalism and integration. It is a big defeat for divisive forces. So this is the first lesson which we should imbibe and we should understand.
So, but
The second point,
rid me this doubt, Doctor. So, if it was a fight, if it is a victory for nationalism, how come Congress ended up with this many seats? And one interesting thing I noticed, Congress got 38% of votes polled, and BJP got 36.2%, about a good 2% less. And yet, Congress got fewer number of seats. And I'm struggling with this as to why the victory margins in Congress, one seats was very large, whereas the margins of defeat for BJP was very narrow, and sometimes Nota actually defeated BJP. How do you make sense of this data?
Basically, two things we have to recognize. BJP practically contested all the seats all over the state. In the case of Congress, they contested significant number of seats, but they focused on only certain number of seats. Certain other number of seats, they were not as much focused. One. Second is, percentage of vote is because of the cluster effect, I would call it. For instance, the percentage of vote got by JDS is exclusively from the cluster of Bangalore and Mysore region only. Not all over Karnataka. It is not evenly spread over Karnataka. So that is one. Second is, I would infer that a large number of traditional BJP supporters, surprisingly, particularly in the urban areas, did not exercise their franchise. Or they would have exercised it for Nota. For instance, as an example, Bangalore, as an agglomerate, recorded something like 50 or less than 50% of voting.
44%. 44%.
Very, very small. And some constituencies which are supposed to be highly educated, they were also around 40-42% only. The constituencies which were what you may loosely call quote unquote elites.
Right.
They also got. So what might have happened is in the urban areas, the traditional BJP supporters might not have gone to vote. That's quite possible actually. But in the rural areas also, I would say the Congress vote was not for separate flag or for separate what you may loosely call the Linkayat. If it were so, the Congress should have swept the Linkayat belt actually, including the I'm not getting his name. Vinay, I'll get his name. The person who was instrumental, he himself lost. He need not have lost actually. So it's not Congress vote was not for these issues. Congress vote could have been significantly against JDS or against BJP. This is the kindly note. Congress vote also is against JDS because the BJP lost significant number of seats in a small margins. That's something which we have to take cognizance of. That I think is primarily because of the non-voting by the what you may loosely call the urban BJP supporters. Okay. More important is now, for instance, they are planning to fight for the speaker post. One Rajajinagar MLA known as Suresh Kumar, one of the most sober and highly respected MLA, as much as the Jayanagar MLA who passed away. These are very, what you may loosely call, very clean people and very much regarded. They may not be very mass appeal and other things, but they are respected even by the opposition parties. So he is, I am told, he is planning to contest for the speaker post. So my point is very simple. Even by chance, he wins. By chance, let me underline it several times. Because one thing is sure, very interesting. The swearing in ceremony of the chief minister took place yesterday. I think you would have read about it in.
Right, I did.
But not all the JDS and Congress MLAs are present. They are still held in the resort, in jail, right? They are yet to be brought.
Why is that?
Trust. Because it is felt if they are brought out and other things, some of them may run away. Some of them may go to their homes or whatever may happen. It's an extremely complex situation. So the trust with the MLAs of JDS and Congress is not very high. The reason is very simple, sir. Many of these JDS MLAs have fought tooth and nail the Congress. Not now for the election, throughout their career, 10-15 years. So they have to go back to their constituency and explain to the people that for the larger secular cause, I have to join with this Gowda or that fellow. And at the local level, it won't give any what one can call a good amount of support or anything. People will be puzzled. What happened? Oh, last 15 years were you not secular? And that type of argument will be there, right? So assuming that Congress and JDS are not able to carry on either now or in the next few months, my assessment or my feeling, just like same thing I told last time, when BJP doesn't get majority, it is much better for it to keep quiet. Same way, I think BJP should not try to form a government. It should wait and perhaps have the election along with the Lok Sabha poll, which is anyhow nearing in the next maybe 7 to 8 months. Because then they would be able to muster a significant majority. That is very, very important. Because if they form a government, like again with, let's say, some disgruntled element, 10 or 12 or something, that itself may not, there is no guarantee it will last, actually. Again, it could fall or something. So, very interesting things are expected from Karnataka. But an offshoot of this, very interesting, Kumaraswamy and his father could get a huge number of opposition leaders to Bangalore. Almost every leader who is somebody was there. There was a picture of Sonia Gandhi hugging Mayawati. Very, very unheard of her. And there is a picture of Sitaram Yechury and Mamata together. And Mamata seems to have sent a birthday greeting to Pinarayi Vijayan, who is the Kerala Chief Minister today. So CPM and Trinamool Congress coming together, and our Mayawati and this Akhilesh Yadav on the same time on the dais, and Chandrababu Naidu on the dais, along with KCR, who could not come but who came the previous day. So it's a very interesting type of coalition group which is emerging, and all of them have committed that they will unitedly fight for secular cause in 2019. Not only that, Kumaraswamy declared that the Aswamedha Yaga horse of BJP has been stopped in the borders of Karnataka. He has stopped it. He was, and very interesting historically looking at, they would have become prime minister with hardly some 10, 12 MPs, but he became prime minister.
Right.
And Kumaraswamy has become a chief minister with less than 37, 38 MLAs. And Bangalore Mahanagara Palike, JDS has got hardly 10 or 12 councillors, but they are actually ruling because of the support by Congress and outside forces. This is so. I think from one angle, Vilambi seems to be a very what one can call fruitful year for the Gowda family, and they are extraordinarily superstitious and religious. His astrologer told you must go to swearing-in ceremony without chapel. Barefooted he came for the swearing-in ceremony. Kumaraswamy. He did not. You cannot accuse him of selling his soul or anything to Congress, because he didn't have any soul to start with when he came for swearing-in ceremony. So they are very, very. I'm telling you, that level of superstitious you won't believe. He went to Srirangam. Mostly his astrologer will tell what he should do. Time of swearing-in ceremony and all these things. Anyhow, nothing wrong. That is his style of functioning, and after all. So when I am intrigued, actually, there is an act of Siddaramaiah called Anti-Superstition Act. It is against all type of superstition and other. And it is, I am very puzzled whether Kumaraswamy would repeal that act or put it in the cold storage, given his level of Vastu, and he believes in all numerology and various other type of astrology.
I must point it out at this point that many of the Nastika leaders in Tamil Nadu, they're all big believers in numerology, astrology, witchology, thatology.
See, in another context, Tamil Nadu is the single state which is supposed to be, what is that, rationalist state, right? State of India. Maximum number of astrological journals sold in the country are in Tamil Nadu. Every mainline paper has one astrological section or a separate astrological magazine, weekly. And it tells you all about what will happen to this Perchi, Sani Perchi, Guru Perchi, Buddha Perchi. And a maximum number of people visit temples to do pujas for Nivarti in order to overcome some of these issues. So that's a very, for instance, the Dayan of the rationalist movement, Karunanidhi, he always keep one yellow shawl on his shoulder. He has given large number of explanation for that, none of which is satisfactory. Point is, it is suggested, his astrologer told. So he wears a black dress for some protesting against the government action, because nowadays he can't wear. He is in a, unfortunately, in a wheelchair without movement. So they put a black shirt for him, and on top of it, one yellow shawl is kept for him. So it's a. So these are separate things. Rationalism is always goes hand in hand with superstition. So these two.
Amazingly, the populace in Tamil Nadu are willing to accept all these idiosyncrasies that these people have, and yet still believe in their ideology that there is no God, there is rationalism.
No. Nobody takes them seriously, actually.
Yeah.
See, Tamil Nadu, we will discuss Tamil Nadu separately in another context. It's a very interesting state, actually. The people are very naive, actually, if you ask me, actually. They, these unemployed, these script writers of cinemas, cinema directors, actors, and TV actors, all these people have profound views on, satellites, nuclear power plant, copper plant, and all these things. And many people take them seriously, including the channels. They are interviewed and other thing. So Tamil Nadu is a separate ball game. Karnataka, another important point to note is the entire coastal belt has given significant number of seats to BJP. Coastal belt actually consists of number of Muslims as well as number of Christians. That's one of the mixed type of. Some constituencies actually have a significant number of Muslims and Christians. So the fact is there has been a huge amount of Hindu consolidation which has taken place in the coastal belt. Coastal belt mean we mean in terms of Mangalore and down south. So, which is very, very interesting actually. Again, this consolidation is something which one has to closely look at, and what are the implications of this consolidation. Because in the coastal belt, it's not the large number of Muslims and Christians are in business, commerce, and they are very active. They are what you may loosely call reasonably well off actually. It's not like the states of UP or even in Hyderabad, Karnataka, a large number of poorer Muslim or anything. So the context of the consolidation in the coastal areas need to be studied very thoroughly, and what is the implication of it for the business contours of these groups. So coming to the future, if Bangalore meeting of these groups, interestingly, except Mamata and Mayawati, all other leaders standing on the dais were leaders due to their dynasty, due to their parents actually, not due to their self-made. Your Ajit Singh was there due to Charan Singh. Of course, the man who told the dynasty is very natural. That is, Rahul was also there along with his mother. Then Supriya Sule was not there, who is actually the dynasty for Sharad Pawar. But all other
I thought I saw
groups.
Pawar. I thought I saw Pawar.
Huh?
I thought I saw Pawar.
There is no power. Sorry?
No. I thought I saw Sharad Pawar.
He saw, but his daughter, the dynasty daughter was not there.
Oh, I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying.
She was not there. But all others were there actually. So you had leaders like Mamata Banerjee, Mayawati. These are the two I can easily think of. Of course, Yechury was there. Yechury has not won even a class election, leave alone for any other. His class. The first election he contested was the class monitor. I think when he was 6th or 7th class, and he lost it heavily. So after that, I don't think he contested any election. Right? And it is claimed that they have contested significant number during his JNU time. He is supposed to have won also, but that many people say that was rigged another. Anyhow, so whether these leaders, as they gave a clarion call yesterday, able to present a unified force for 2019 against Modi will be the thing to watch actually. Because the reason is, states like Madhya Pradesh, Uttar Pradesh, Rajasthan, etc., it's straight Congress versus BJP.
Right.
In other states, wherever the regional parties are there, Congress has to deal with the regional party as well as with BJP. Now what is happening? If the regional party is completely going along with the Congress, then it will become again a bipolar, BJP versus the regional party and Congress together. So whether Congress is going to play that game, for instance, by supporting this HDK, Kumaraswamy in Karnataka, to become chief minister, in a sense, Congress has given its position, accepted that they are not in a position to. So even though they have got larger number of MLAs, they have accepted to be B team of Kumaraswamy. Whether the similar technique will be adopted in other states is something to be watched. In which case, it will again become a two-party contest. For instance, if Mamata and CPM combine together in West Bengal, it will be again BJP and versus Mamata and CPM. So this is something very, very interesting to watch. The point I want to stress is, in the context of Karnataka election results and these parties coming together, if you look back in the 67, the first coalition government was formed in Madhya Pradesh, where actually very interestingly, CPI on one side, extreme, and Jan Sangh on the other side, together were supporting and in the government. That's something which you would not have come across at all. And there were large number of other parties that time flourishing in those states like Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan, Gujarat, and Samyukta Socialist, Praja Socialist, so many other peasants party, Swarajya, this Rajaji's party, Swatantra party, so many others were there. But if you observe over a period of time, BJP has managed to absorb most of those parties, and many of those parties have also got into Congress. So now what happened in Madhya Pradesh, in states like Rajasthan, and you will find there are only Gujarat and to some extent Maharashtra, there are only two parties actually. It is BJP and Congress. Now, if other states like Karnataka, Andhra Pradesh, if Congress, again combines with those regional parties, what is the future of the Congress is the major issue actually. Congress already is not in a good position in 6 major states: West Bengal, Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, Maharashtra, and Tamil Nadu. These are major states which together gives around 140 MPs. In all these states, Congress is not in a good position. So yesterday's, I would rather say it is a Rahul line, not that of the Sonia line. Yesterday's decision to support JDS as well as to all these parties coming together, there is a big question mark on the future of Congress, what it is planning to do, how it is going to take this step forward. The Aswamedha horse which has been stopped by Kumaraswamy, is it going to be further stopped in every state or not? I think will be the most important thing to watch. So 3 lessons is, or 4 lessons I would say. First lesson from Karnataka election, it's a decisive defeat for divisive forces. Forces which try to create new religion, new flag, anti-Hindi, and all those rhetoric is not going to help. That I think people have by and large expressed their opinion. Second is, it's a very important lesson for BJP that its urban and semi-urban voters did not evince enthusiasm and went and voted for it. A city like Bangalore, talked about 40+% of voting is a extraordinarily sad state of affairs actually. That means the reasonably educated so-called quote-unquote elite are withdrawing from the democratic process. It's much more, the poorer and the rural people who are more active in this. That's something which is to be looked at with caution. That's the second thing. Third is, in the consolidation of the Hindu votes in the coastal belt is explicit. Whether the BJP is planning to expand this, work on it, and particularly in the context of the Archbishop of Delhi giving a clarion call to all the Christian as well as other minority groups to work for the defeat of the BJP, whether this is going to be taken up or not. The fourth lesson is, Congress, by conceding the leadership role to JDS, is it signaling that in every state where it is not in direct conflict with BJP, it is planning to do so. In which case, what is the future of the Congress as a political entity in this country? Fifth, unsolicited advice. Even if this government falls, I think it would be more appropriate for BJP to wait for the election, hopefully combined with the Lok Sabha election, instead of hurrying to form a government. Wait for the election and then try to get a full majority before coming to power.
So points to ponder for all the parties. Professor Abbey, thank you very much for joining us. We'll be back with more such